Hey everybody, ASIC Eric from the Second Chance Garage, and looky here, we have seats sitting in the back of this thing. Those are in there so that I can figure out where to put the brackets on these floor pans that I forgot to measure before, so I need to get a sense of where those go. Scott H454 sent me a measurement. Thank you very much. I'm going to check that against mine, see how things line up, see how these things go. So I'll show you how these things work here on the other side. So the seat slides up and out that way, and that's where the bracket right there clips into that cross piece right there. So the way it was sitting right there, it would have dropped straight in and out of there, so that's not the right place. This needs to go that way a little bit, such that that bracket gets pinned in place in here. It seems to be the way, not going the other way, but this way, so that when you want to take the seat out, you have to push it back this way and then lift up and out. So it's held in place by the tension against that right there. So this is approximately the right location right here, and I need to slide it back that way about that distance right there, I think. So I'm going to check all the measurements on that relative to what Scott sent me, which was the measurement from here to here. So let's do that right now. So Scott gave me 12 1/4, I believe it was, from this point back here to the center of this bracket right here. And you can see, or actually it was, like he said, from the top of this bracket back here to there, about like yay. Let's see how that looks. So 12 1/4 would be here. I think that's too far back on mine. This is about almost 13 here, so I think that's too far. I go from the bolt hole back there to there, then 12 1/4 is right here, which would put the bracket about like that, which I think is probably about right. Moved it back just enough there. And then on the side piece here, that's not as important. Just slide it that way a little bit. So that's about where the measurements come out there. 12 and something. But what I'm also going to do is, I still have this guy, the one that I took out, and I have all the patterns on here. So I'm going to lay this piece back in the car and then measure that one where it sits, and then compare the two. Alright, and with that pan in there, from the center of that hole there to the center here, try and line that up so you can see it, is pretty close to 12 1/4. A little bit. Kind of hard to line up there, but 12 1/4 is pretty close. So I think that's about right. So I'll go ahead and tack this guy in that position, and then drop the seat in and see how it goes. Alright, so before I start tacking anything in, I remembered I've got to get the epoxy off this side here and get some weld-through primer on it. This was good. This was the first time I've actually sanded down the epoxy that I sprayed on the car. And it was on real good. It was pretty hard to get off, so that's nice. That tells me that epoxy stuck really well. So that's looking good. So I'm going to hit this with some weld-through primer on both sides, and then I've got to let that set up before I can go any further. Alright, she's all done. I'm not sure these things are exactly in the right place. The seats are pretty loose when they're in there, but there's no carpet or anything in here, so I'm hoping that firms it up. And if not, I suppose I can always just bend these a little bit to make up the difference. So, this is all ready to go. Ready to put epoxy on. I'm going to mix up some epoxy and shoot this thing. I scuffed up everything in the vicinity with 80 grit on the old epoxy, so the new epoxy will have something to stick to. I'm not going past here, so just this little piece right here, the bottom here, There's just a little bit where I had to clean up the welds on the bottom, so just a little bit, and then those two pans over there. So let's mix up some epoxy and shoot this dog. Here we go. There's the underside of the pans. That looks really good. As on the other side, you can't really tell a repair was made. Like right there you can, but I'm still going to strip the bottom of this car later, and when I do that I'll go back and clean up these places like here where there's still crud in there. But that looks really good. I'll go around and show you the inside here. So here's one of the two. That's the one where I just put the new bracket in, so that looks reasonable, I think. Let's go around and look at the other side. Alright, so here's the driver's side. The splice was right in through here, so it's apparent because of pinholes in the fiberglass and stuff, but other than that, the two pans, I got them to meet up pretty well. You can't really tell anything there. And then that was the seam along the back and through here. Can't really see anything. This pan in the back, you can see the edge right there where it was, but if it's only on the light hitting it, can you see that? The rest of it looks really nice. Back here is good. There's the bracket. So there we go. Floor pans are done. So next onto the trunk. Fix that hole back there, and that's about it for the repairs on the bottom of this car. So once again, thanks to everybody who helped me along get to this point. I really appreciate your help, and I hope you all have a great Father's Day for all you fathers out there, and take it easy, guys. See ya.